Hello, welcome to another Freaky Friday. Today we'll be playing Tiny Bunny, which is a horror visual novel game. And this is one of the games where every choice matters, every decision you make matters. So it'll lead to different endings, which is always interesting to me to see what I get. Currently, there are 3 chapters out for this game. There's going to be 5 chapters in total. But enough said, let's just hop into it. But before that, let me dim my lights real quick to really fit the vibes. There we go. The wind clawed at my window all night long. It wandered the fields and howled like a hungry beast. An endless song, weaved from all sorts of voices. Shrill, gentle, sneery, twined in the air. They were shouting and laughing, and arguing about something. Someone was running through the snow while casting long shadows that would occasionally creep close to my bed. Our house had a mind of its own. The creaky old mind of a building that had seen a lot in its days, and it was seemingly trying to share its wisdom with the inhabitants. The lonely house faced the forest, and the dark green thicket gazed back with its hollow eyes. Rustling, whizzing, swaying back and forth. One could come out and stand at the edge of the forest to reassure themselves. There was nobody behind the crooked trees. Fuzzy silhouettes swaying in the wind couldn't possibly do any harm. Just a play of light and shadow. Just a play. I knew it was just my imagination. I was already 12 after all. Still. Episode 1. The owl will arrive.
Убери книгу немедленно.
Hey, put away your book.
Сколько раз говорила, не читай за столом, вредно. Сидишь, сутулился весь.
How many times have I told you not to read at the table? It's bad for your health. Look at how slouched you are. Hide. I didn't protest and put the book about Conan and the Barbarian aside. I was stuck on the line I couldn't understand after reading it 3 times anyway. Olya had already finished her breakfast and was munching on some cookies. She was so enthusiastic she almost looked like your typical girl from commercials.
Пока не съешь, из-за стола не встанешь.
You're not going anywhere until you finish all of it. I, on the other hand, was still trying to drill a hole in the plate with my eyes, as if it would make the porridge disappear. Hazy anxiousness welled up inside, all because of the previous sleepless night, the black forest around our house, and the gloomy wind. The longer I waited, the colder the lumpy white substance became. It looked like a jellyfish from the Costa Odyssey. I love that show. I wonder how horrifying the bottom of the ocean is, or how cold the black forest is at night. The spoon fell out of my hand. Mom showered me with a cold glare from her green eyes.
Что я говорила?
What did I just say?
Я достану.
I'll get it. I had 10 seconds to catch my breath before battling the nasty porridge once again. I felt around for the spoon. What is this carved on the other side of the table? Karina. Ha, that's my mom's name. I guess she carved it out with something pointy when she was little. She sure was a rascal, damaging the furniture like that. She would scold me for a week if I did something similar, though. Should I remind her about it? No, she's been in a bit of a bad mood lately. I imagine her my age, sitting under the table. I wonder, was my mom afraid of the dark back then? Or the sounds coming from the attic? Or the thick forest? I imagine my grandma coming into my little mom's room, sitting at the edge of her bed, where Olya sleeps nowadays, and saying this in her soft, smooth voice.
Тайга особое место, детятка.
Taiga is a special place, little girl.
Она к тебе присматривается, принюхивается.
It's watching you closely, sniffing you out,
Словно хочет понять, что ты за зверь такой.
trying to discern what kind of beast you are.
Понравишься, в беде не бросит.
If you're a good sort, it won't abandon you in times of trouble.
А будешь проказничать, схватит за бочок и утащит с собой под землю.
But if you're a bad apple, it'll grab you by the side and drag you under the ground.
Тут и дело с концом.
And that would be it. Grandma was caring. She had never fought with anybody, never yelled, never swore. But she definitely seems kind of scary. Kind of ominous almost. Those were the times without the maddening screams until late at night, without smashed dishes and mutual accusations. Our parents used to love each other back then. I remember listening in on one of their conversations by chance. They were talking about Grandma getting prepared for her funeral. She had already bought a casket, and she called it her cute funeral box. It waited for its time in the closet, patiently. It was black, upholstered with meat-colored material on the inside. I saw it when my grandma was getting buried. The house didn't change since the time she was alive, only all the photos were gone. Glass-covered pictures with gray faces of my ancestors. They all had a dead but watchful look in their eyes. I crawled out from under the table. Olya was done with her cookies and was looking at my share like a sly woodland critter. I turned my gaze toward the frosted window. There were a lot of dark pines outside, but they didn't grab my attention. The pattern of frost formed a picture on the glass.
Оля, гляди, лиса!
Olya, look, it's a fox!
Где?
Where? It looked almost like those optical illusion thingies they put in the back of a student notebooks. A mixture of lines at first glance, but if you blur your vision a little bit and look under a certain angle.
Да не на улице, на стекле.
Not outside, on the window!
Смотри, вот нос, вот.
Look, here's the nose, and here's...
Ну-ка, доедай.
Hey, eat up!
Да, да, сейчас.
Yes, just a moment.
Я ничего не вижу.
I don't see anything.
Живо. Совсем немного осталось.
Hurry, there's not much left.
А, вот. Но все равно не похоже.
Ah, there it is, but it still doesn't look like one.
А я говорю, похоже.
And I'm telling you it does.
Не-а.
Nya-uh.
Похоже.
It does.
Прекратите. Ну что за дети?
Stop it. These kids, I swear. Now I couldn't see the fox either. It disappeared. Went away. Only the frosty patterns, similar to stretched out nettle leaves, but kept creeping up the glass. My dad entered the kitchen with long, measured steps. I want to have a beard like his when I grow up. My mom would always ask jokingly, "Come on, shave it off, it stings." That was so long ago. Nowadays, rumbling doors and witty comebacks are an everyday occurrence. Olya always covers her ears when she hears something like, "What's the point of all of this?" through the wall. "It's all for your sake," Dad would reply. "For the sake of our family." I always caught every sound in the fear of hearing the most dreaded, the deadliest word that started with a D. D-I-V-O. I don't even want to finish it. It was scary to imagine that me and my little sister could be torn apart and taken into two different families.
Да что твоя лиса? Вот у меня на окне сова.
Anyway, your fox is nothing. I have an owl on my window.
Опять ты со своей совой.
You and your owl, fox, talk again.
Так ты же вчера мне верил.
You said you believed me just yesterday.
Никто ключи от машины не видел?
Has anybody seen my car keys?
Вроде оставлял на подоконнике.
I remember leaving them on the windowsill.
Вроде.
Right.
Вроде оставлял, вроде нет.
Maybe you did, maybe not.
Вроде взрослый мужчина, отец двоих детей, а вроде...
You're a grown man, a father of two, and still.
Перестань, пожалуйста, Карина.
Karina, please, stop.
Дай мне спокойно собраться.
Just let me get ready in peace.
В корзине твои ключи, возле телефона.
Your keys are in the basket near the phone.
Огромное тебе человеческое спасибо.
Whoa, thank you very much.
Антон, ешь быстрее, а то как мученик сидишь.
Anton, stop making a martyr of yourself and finish eating already.
А сова?
About the owl.
Не было там никакой совы.
There was no owl.
Была.
But there was one.
Глазюки огромные. Во, и светятся.
It had giant glowing eyes. Olya sprung up from the chair and placed her hands on her little face, imitating a pair of eyes with her fingers, the size of an apple each. Like that. That bit that big.
В прошлом году бабай в шкафу. Сейчас сова?
Last year you had Bye-Bye in your closet, and now this owl?
Но я же видела.
But I saw it. Olya shifted her gaze back and forth from dad to mom to me, but couldn't find any support.
А ты не думала подружиться с ней, нет?
Have you thought about befriending it?
Вымышленными мышами покормить, например.
You know, like feeding it with an imaginary mice.
Не подначивай ребенка.
Don't bully our girl.
Просто мала еще. И спать одна боится.
She's just afraid to sleep alone because she's still little. Olya pouted her lips in rebellion and rushed into the hallway. The staircase that led to the second floor creaked. Mom gave Dad a strict look. Oh, that look in her eyes. It's so uncomfortable to be pinned under it. Dad just snorted in reply and left, ringing with the keys he just found. A minute had passed and the theme song from The Little Mermaid echoed through the house. It was stored on an incredibly worn out cassette tape, which Dad had already had to glue together once. It's so easy to fix objects, by gluing them back together, for example. Or duct tape. Duct tape's pretty good too. But how do you fix a relationship? Mom moved to the living room and I was left alone, anxiously stealing glances at the window. Olya had trouble sleeping since we moved in this house. She would toss and turn or curl up into a ball under her blanket. Sometimes she would jump up in the middle of the night and turn on the VCR. Cartoons helped her take her mind off the troubles we had with the move and our parents. Jesus. Oh my god. And then Olya said she saw the giant flying monster outside her window. She became obsessed with it. Our parents did everything in their power. They tried every little trick to get rid of those ridiculous fears. Olya refused to sleep alone and didn't believe that the owl was just one of her nightmares. After last night, I was unsure what to make of my sister's words, what to think of it myself. Can nightmares be infectious? That night, I couldn't get a wink of sleep and ended up thinking of what to expect for my new school. There were a couple of days left before the beginning of a new term. My imagination drew long, twisted hallways that led to the classroom full of kids. But all the students behind their desks were simply dark figures, cut out using a template. Circular holes gaped in the middle of their faces, and a pair of eyes blinked inside those holes. It was as if something completely different creatures were looking at me from behind the flat black silhouettes. Their cruel glares, filled with icy sneers, made me shiver from head to toe. Will I survive here? Won't they gang up on me and beat me down? Stomping me with their bloodied shoes? The damn school can burn for all I care. I just wish for anything to happen to it. Doesn't really matter what. I don't want to go there that badly. I don't want to see people who are just itching to smack me on the head, trip me up, think of a new offensive name for me, worse than the previous one. I felt like the glasses I wore made me an outsider, some sort of a monster. My gaze slid across the drawings hanging on the walls. I couldn't consider myself a great artist, but Olya begged me to hang them. Drawing was the only thing that made me happy as of late. The small circle of friends I had also enjoyed my paintings, and they promised to call me from time to time. Sometimes I imagined Mom picking up the phone and singing in a cold voice, "You've got the wrong number." Or Anton is not around. Anton is not around. I imagine my future classmates lying on their beds just like me, listening to the howls of invisible werewolves outside their windows. Maybe my new classmates will like me after all. But who would like a boy with thick glasses? Hey, there's nothing wrong with thick glasses. There's nothing wrong about having to see. I mean, my dad used to wear glasses when he was little, and now he's married to the most beautiful woman on the planet. My mom. The house creaked, pressed by the wind. The condo we used to live in, a 9th-floor concrete building, buzzed with the neighbor's drill, mumbled with a TV set from behind the wall, cried like a baby from the big family next door. Our current house, though I can't really call it new, was completely different. It was silent and easygoing during the day. Its shadows lay dormant in the corners, on the closet cobwebs and under the stairs. But they all woke up during the night. Something was watching me from every corner, almost as if the old photos of my deceased family, with their ashen eyes, were hanging on the walls in place of my drawings. The floor was squeaking, rusty drains were moaning. The attic was occupied by noisy drafts. One could think the house was performing some sort of demonic melody. And then I realized I was, in fact, hearing music. It was already playing for a good while. Somewhere at the edge of my perception, I could hear a flute. It was mixed in with the sound of the wind, of the creaking old house, and my thoughts too. I stood up and rushed to the window. I wanted to reassure myself that this music was nothing more than the product of my imagination. It's not like someone is playing it there, amidst a cold, snowy night, right? Someone was dancing in the field. Black silhouettes I could barely make out, with the dark forest as their backdrop. They jumped around, basked in moonlight, pumped into piles of snow, rolled around and crawled on all fours. Stories about wolves playing under the moon came to my mind, but these were clearly not wolves. I mean, they look definitely like wolves. Maybe a bear? Is that a bird too? They stood upright at times, circled around holding hands and whipping up snow, disappearing into the shadows for a brief moment and then coming back. Something bizarre was going on. Shadows dancing in the starless abyss made my imagination go wild, making me anxious at the same time. Suddenly, the music had stopped. The dancing shadows froze in place and I could swear pierced me with their eyes. One of the silhouettes immediately parted from the bizarre shadow carnival and sprinted across the field with giant leaps. It glided on sneaky snow without leaving any prints until it was devoured by the pitch-black shadow of my house, which became even darker and thicker. My heart was jumping around like a bird inside a cage. I shut the curtains with a swift motion and stepped back toward the bed. They saw me! A freezing torrent of fear washed over me. I stood in the middle of a perfectly dark room and listened to some unwanted guest move and scrape around, looking for an entrance. The sound moved to the right, then circled around the house. Now my guest should be at the front door. I jumped into bed and covered myself with the blanket as if it could protect me. The shackles of fear unlocked my muscles. I remember the funeral, my grandma laying there, hands across her chest, her facial features sharp like that of a tin doll, ants running up and down the legs of chairs that held my grandma's casket. I imagined those little creatures climbing up her head and pulling up her eyelids with their tiny legs. Then her wrinkly eyeballs would once again move inside their sockets, and she'd be able to see her grandchildren. I was chanting the spell she taught me throughout the whole procedure, and now, lying under the blanket and listening to squeaks and howls, I was repeating the same words.
На острове Буяне, в синем океане, стоит домовина, в ней сало и глина, волосы седые, чертям еда, раба Божьего Антона не тронут никогда.
On the island of Buyon, underneath the blemished sun, and the sea of color blue, stands a cabin made of wood. There lay lard and ashen hair for the spawn from Devil's Lair to feast and always leave alone, God's faithful servant named Anton.
Бесы забудут дорогу к дому,
Evil leave this house must.
мертвый к мертвому, живой к живому.
Ashes to ashes, dust to dust. Bizarre sounds had disappeared. I cautiously peeked out from under the blanket and saw curtains waving around like a hanged man. And then the night doused me with a new portion of boiling terror. The sound scratched my eardrums. In reality, something or someone was scratching at the front door, hurriedly clawed at wood, demanding to be let in. The door was shut. Dad had become very cautious recently, so he installed a sturdy lock. I remember him staring at the forest intently as if he was looking for someone.
Мертвое к мертвому,
Ashes to ashes,
живое к живому.
dust to dust. I hugged my knees, placing my chin between them and drilled the door with my eyes. It was still flimsy and weak before the might of darkness. And then... the doorknob twitched slightly. Then it turned halfway, once, twice, as if the person who tried to enter had no hands. The doorknob tilted once more and then started clicking violently. My jaw cramped from fear. My wet fingers clutched the blankets. The door creaked and opened. The wind taunted me, moaning inside the tin drains. Now you'll see. The door was wide open. The darkness ripped inside the carnivorous mouth of a doorway. What the frick? It was as if the night itself was calling out to me, flapping its black wings and squeaking with rusty hinges. I was trembling, ensnared by the web of darkness that hung in the corners of my room, waiting for the one who weaved it to come out of the gaping black hole. My abdomen tightened and my chest rose up, ready to exhale a desperate scream. But before I was able to do anything, the darkness asked me. My sister's pale face protruded from the thick shadows. I almost screamed from relief.
Оля, я не сплю. Что случилось?
Olya, I'm not sleeping. Did something happen? Olya frowned and stuck up her lower lip, a clear sign that she was about to cry.
Оно опять прилетело и пялится на меня.
It's there again, staring at me.
Прогони ее, Тоша. Прогони, пожалуйста.
Sue her away, Tosha, please.
Я так боюсь.
I'm so scared. The fear that was tormenting me just a minute ago crawled away and hit somewhere in my stomach. I needed to calm Olya down.
Это был сон, глупая. Не пугайся. Сны не кусаются. Никто тебя не обидит.
It was just a dream, silly. Don't be scared. Dreams don't bite. No one's going to harm you. Olya sobbed. She was trying her best to believe me. But was I sure myself?
У меня есть идея.
I have an idea.
Пойдем к тебе в комнату, видик посмотрим. Спящую красавицу, например.
Let's go to your room and watch the Sleeping Beauty. Wait, let's go to your room and watch the video of Sleeping Beauty, for example.
Тебе же нравится этот мультик?
You like that cartoon, don't you?
Почему у спящей красавицы принца у меня эта страшная птица?
Why does the Sleeping Beauty have a prince and I have this scary bird? That question took me by surprise.
Ладно, давай посмотрим Золушку.
Alright, let's watch Cinderella. My thoughts became tangled, fuzzy. What was that? What studied me with its eyes while dancing feverishly under the moon? The darkness was clinging to the window, and it couldn't be fooled by my grandma's old chants. It couldn't be satisfied with a feast of lard and long ashen hair.
Тоша, ты идешь?
Tosha, are you coming?
Да, да, сейчас.
Yes, just a moment.
Jesus Christ! Jesus Christ!
Oh my god! What the fuck? Oh. I was gonna take a moment to laugh out loud, but I did not expect that. Holy crap. Whew. Alright. Alright. Deep breaths. Alright. That's why I didn't want to laugh at Olya and her owl in the morning. Hello? Who could be visiting us here in the middle of nowhere? We don't know anyone around here. Coming! So persistent. I felt extremely unsettled just from a silly thought that our morning guest could have come from the woods. I could barely hear voices coming from the front door. My mind was urging me to hide. In the closet. Under the table. Behind the curtains where Olya always hides.
Тоша, подойди-ка сюда.
Tosha, come here. I felt like kettlebells were tied to my feet, but still dragged them toward the hallway. A couple of policemen towered over me in the doorway. They smelled like frost and worry. My mom always winced and grumbled the moment she saw patrol cars, worse than bandits. At that moment, though, she looked somewhat confused.
Здравствуйте.
Hello. The senior officer, who wore a grim expression, nodded.
Тут мальчик вчера потерялся. Вовой зовут.
A boy had gone missing yesterday. His name's Vova.
Глянь, пожалуйста. Ты его не видел?
Look at this, please. Have you seen him? The policeman held out the photograph to me. There was a ginger boy around the age of elementary school, pictured with a wall carpet as the backdrop. He had a striped cat in his hands and wore a wide smile.
Нет.
No, I haven't.
Точно? Посмотри внимательнее.
Are you sure? Look closely.
Где мне его видеть? Я тут никого не знаю. Да и из дома-то почти не выхожу.
Where would I see him? I don't know anyone around here. I barely leave the house.
А может, видел в окно?
Well, maybe you've seen him from the window?
Да. У тебя ведь окна на лес.
That's right. Your windows look straight at the forest, don't they? The window.
Нет, не видел.
No, I haven't seen anything.
Ясно.
I see. He sounded tired, but his eyes, his stare, long and heavy, was full of suspicion. I squirmed unwittingly under the weight of guilt, which his giant shadow cast over me. The policeman finally tore his eyes from me and glanced over the hallway, the stairway, and the cracks in the ceiling, which I haven't noticed before for some reason.
Вы, кстати, как на новом месте? Попривыкли уже?
How do you like your new place, by the way? Getting used to it?
Понемногу. Только вот дочка маленькая по городу скучает.
Bit by bit. It's just our little daughter misses the city a lot.
Скучает, значит. Из местных вас никто не беспокоит?
Misses the city, huh? Have the locals been treating you well?
Все хорошо, спасибо.
Yes, everything is alright. Thank you. The policeman pierced through me one more time with his brown eyes. My head started spinning.
Может, вам помочь как-то?
Can I help you somehow? I asked that in a shaky voice to look like a polite boy and to end this unpleasant conversation sooner.
Я вот стою и думаю,
Now that I think about it,
ты, малец, на племеша моего похож.
you look just like one of my nephews, little fella.
Шустрый парнишка твоих лет. С такими же окулярами. Все книжками зачитывался. Детективами.
He's a witty boy around your age. Wears the same type of goggles. Always engrossed in reading those mystery novels.
Когда летом погостить приезжал, говорит, что в школу милиции мечтает поступить.
Told me he wants to enroll in police school when his family visited this summer.
Как я. Хотел людям помогать. Смекаешь?
Wanted to help other people just like me, see? I felt uncomfortable, as if a distant relative and not a police officer stood before me.
Ох, ребятушки.
Oh, you know what?
Сидите-ка вы лучше дома. Не ввязывайтесь ни во что. Жизнь сейчас совсем другая пошла.
Little boys like you should stay at home. Stay away from trouble. The times have changed so much. Mom interjected in a cold voice.
Мне ли не знать?
You don't say.
Ну да ладно.
Well then.
Ты, Антон, в каком классе учишься?
What grade are you in, Anton?
В 6.
6.
Друзей-то на новом месте еще не завел?
Have you made any friends here so far?
Пока нет. Я только после каникул в школу пойду.
Not yet. I'll be going to school for the first time after the break.
Тогда вот вам на всякий случай мой номер. Звоните, если узнаете что.
Then I'll leave you my number just in case. Call me if you have any new info. The policemen were gone along with their shadows, the smell of cheap cologne and the photo of a boy smiling. His face still stood before my eyes. I wonder what it was like for him, being all alone there. For some reason, I thought of the forest, swaying in the wind. What did his poor parents feel? And what would my parents do if I'd gone missing? Would they cry and thrash around hysterically? Or would they accuse each other like they always do and forget about me eventually?
Мам, а Вова этот в нашем лесу заблудился?
Mom, this Vova, did he go missing in our forest?
Выходит, что так. Бедный ребенок.
Seems like it. Poor child. I looked out the window at the road. The police UAZ drove off around the village. The officer's nephew came to mind when I was splitting off old paint from the windowsill. I remembered all the teenage mystery novels from the Black Kitty series I've read this summer. Your average boys and girls investigated all sorts of mysteries there. What is this blinking here? Glossary. Bye-bye. In Slavic folklore, a nocturnal spirit used by parents to threaten their ill-behaving children. UAZ, a Soviet and Russian off-road freight passenger car brand which was produced by the Ulasnovsk car factory. Black Kitty, a series of contemporary Russian original or translated teen mystery books. Okay, just some extra information. Your average boys and girls investigated all sorts of mysteries there. They looked for clues, spied on suspicious people. And after a set of amazing adventures, bam! Solved any complicated case. They became local celebrities and must have made their parents very proud. I noticed a trail of policemen's footprints that led to the forest. And then it clicked in my head. Why don't I start an investigation of my own? Maybe I'll find that lost boy. And I'll get a reward. Olya will be so happy. And not only Olya, Mom and Dad too. Maybe they'll even forget about their quarrels for a while. Maybe I'll even save us from the D word? I fantasized about buying Olya a Tamagotchi and getting a cassette player and a bunch of tapes for myself. Yo, the Tamagotchi was it! That was it! And a whole box of Kinder Surprise. When was the last time our parents bought us any toys? Last autumn, I think. My dad had lost his job at the time, and there was that annoying song about it. I had little to no idea what was the accountant's jobs like. They count money, I think. Neighbors used to envy us. But nowadays, Mom and Dad barely had money to afford sweets, and Dad will always divide a single chocolate bar between me and Olya. Sometimes I gave her my share too. No matter how much I wanted to eat sweets, she was still just a pipsqueak. I couldn't wait to go out looking for clues.
Пойду погуляю.
I'm going outside.
Ага, сейчас.
Yeah, right.
Чтобы потом милиционеры с твоей фотографией по домам ходили.
You want the police to go around with your photograph next?
Лес вон какой густой.
The forest is so thick.
А если мальчика звери дикие утащили? Или того хуже?
What if the boy got snatched up by the wild animals? Or someone even worse? Something even worse. Even worse echoed throughout the hallway.
Я рядом буду. В лес не пойду.
I won't go far. I'll stay away from the forest.
Что я тебе сказала? Мне дважды повторять.
Did you hear what I said? Or should I repeat myself?
Лучше портфель собери или соли поиграй.
Better go pack your school bag or play with Olya. The sound of splashing water came from the kitchen. It meant that the argument was over and Mom had the last word. What's this? The dark, stuffy closet. Mom says it smells like mice, but how would she know what they smell? She hates when I stick my nose in there. She's afraid I'll cut myself on the freshly sharpened axe. And Olya can't be alerted to close it. She thinks Baba is living there. I tried to help her fight her fears once. I opened the door and turned on the dim lamp so she would see there was nothing but cobwebs, Dad's tools, and scratched walls. She still didn't believe me. And I liked to hide in the closet and listen to Olya count outside. 1, 2, 3, better hide for me. And then drag her feet on the creaking floorboards, hoping that she wouldn't need to look for me in the cramped Mazur's den. Kitchen. Open. Open? Grandma kept ice cream for me and Olya there, but now I could only see meats for soup and clumped together pelmeni. I grew to hate them already. Turn back. Should I lie to Mom? It was difficult to lie to Mom. There was no other way for me to run away from home.
Мам, там что-то с телевизором случилось.
Mom, there's something wrong with the TV.
Картинка какая-то тусклая и экран весь в полосах.
The picture was dim and there were stripes all over the screen. Mom's face became visibly distorted.
Без ножа меня режешь. Дострелялся в уток своих.
Ah, you're killing me here. So have you had enough of shooting those stupid ducks now?
Говорила же, посадите мне кинескоп своей приставкой.
Told you the kinoscope will go dim because of your console.
Где мы теперь мастера найдем в дыре этой, а?
Where will we find a TV technician in this hole, huh?
Может быть, просто настройки сбились?
Maybe it's just the settings.
Сходи, посмотри, пожалуйста.
Please go see for yourself.
Нормально же работал с утра.
Strange. It worked fine in the morning.
Из-за снегопада, наверное, неполадки.
Maybe the snowfall caused it? Mom rubbed her hands clean on her apron and went to Olya's room. Turn back. Now we go to the front yard. I opened the front gate and went into the field, carefully so Mom wouldn't see me from the window. When I crossed half of the distance toward the forest, the snow piles became as high as my knees. I remembered my night leaf years. I saw those silhouettes around here. They were jumping around, holding hands. That hypnotizing music started playing in my head all on its own. In the light of day, those distant figures felt like a simple dream. The sun turned my nightmares to ash, but the aftertaste was still there. Distant ringing in my ears, distorted shadows crawling on the snow alongside me, and a barely audible whisper in my head, blurry and almost kind. Everything was silent. So silent, I felt the world was totally empty. No ground, no sky, no parents, no Olya. The time reached its limit, a one-way trip that ended at the forest's piney stark stockade. Sometimes silence was so much scarier than any scream. Our parents would scream at each other while arguing, and both me and Olya turned to stone, listening to them. But then always came that ringing silence. Our apartment became numb a couple days before we departed. It was hard to remember the last time Mom and Dad joked around, laughing, or spent time together, almost like all of it was in the previous life. When they kissed with Olya present, she always frowned and snorted in a funny way. But one day it all changed. Something important had left our home, and something scary filled the remaining void. It was as if a fire broke out, and our parents were hurriedly packing our belongings, trying to save themselves and save us. From who, though? From the people with cold dead eyes, who sometimes visited us in our previous home? The eyes that only saw balls of worms on the black ground and everything? And somewhere far away a siren was going off, trying to warn us of the coming menace. Man, look at those glasses, though. I shuddered, chasing away my delusions and looking around. There were only me, this white field, and the wind that was whipping up icy dust and belts of powdered snow. I squinted from the sun and turned my eyes to the sunless forest. It looked especially dark in contrast with the blinding whiteness. Knobby tree roots slithered under the snow like fat snakes. Rotten leaves on coniferous needles frozen into the ice. Coniferous. Dry, prickly branches intertwine, bring up uncomfortable thoughts about fences. Sorry. It's like a water break. Were they protecting the forest, or are they keeping something from breaking out? Some object was hanging from one of the pointy branches. I tried to get closer, drowning in snow, and when I almost got to the edge of the forest, I saw a knitted mitten. It looked like a wounded bird among the hungering semi-dark. Should I take it to police? Their senior officer looked gloomy, but he still reminded me of Captain Casanova from my favorite TV show called The Streets of Broken Lights. He was always so anxious, with a tired look in his eyes, but still brave and strong. Will this mitten help them find the lost boy? Vova. I heard a distant shout. Looked like it came from the river. Vova. As if the trees were calling out to someone. Vova resounded closer to me. Someone was standing there behind the trees, hiding. Vova. I knew someone was looking for the last boy, but still, something was unsettling about this figure. Its stillness, how it was bent unnaturally toward the ground. Its blackness. Where? There's no one there, just branches and roots. It's all just my imagination. A nearby bird flapped its wing loudly. Oh! A shadow split from the tree and disappeared from my sight. I looked away for just a moment, but when I turned my gaze back to the same place, it was gone. So it was my imagination after all. Silence reigned for a painfully long time. My muscles were tightly sprung. My heart was beating somewhere in my throat. Any noise, any little movement, any small whisper from the thicket, and I'd sprint. But nothing of the sort happened. I looked at the mitten once more. Take. I decided to take the lowly mitten from the branch. Oh my god! Vova! Can I grab it? Can I grab it? Can I go grab it? A shout rumbled across the field and dissolved into the distance. No echo, no hope for a reply. Get it! Get it! Get the mitten! I stepped toward the bristly trees and tried to claim my find. It didn't budge. I pulled harder, the branch cracked and the mitten tore off, landing in my hand with a squishy sound, all too heavy, wet. I squeezed it without thinking as something dark spilled from it, forming a tiny string between the mitten and the snow. Steam rose from the snow pile. Ooh, that's blood. Gushing out from the glove? I froze in place, studying my palms in disgust. Red. The sound of cracking branches invaded the silence. I didn't have to think twice before running away. Someone was chasing me from the darkness, breaking pine branches, closing the distance with giant leaps. Snow was slowing me down. Crazy thoughts flew through my mind. I'll get caught. They'll get me. I'll get dragged into the thicket. I'll be gone. Forever. But there was one more voice, probably one of reason. It gave me strength and spurred me on. You can do it. Don't stop. I heard an animal roar behind me. It was so loud my ears went numb. It felt like the sound had come from a pack of hungry beasts rather than a single one. Their nostrils sucked in freezing air. They sensed my fear. Two giant wings flapped above my head. An enormous shadow flew over the clearing. A hoot, a wheeze. The roars were coming from all directions now. From the dried up raspberry bush, from twisted pines, from under the windfall. Hurry, run, don't look back. It felt like I was inside a nightmare. The snowy clearing became vicious like quicksand. I was stuck in place. I pulled my leg from the mushy trap just to be caught in a new one, even deeper than before. I continued to drown, sinking deeper and deeper with every desperate push. Was snow ever get sticky? I screamed in horror after realizing this wasn't snow. Someone or something in the snow was clutching my pants. I gathered all my strength and rushed forward. The pressure on my leg was gone. My boots slipped out of the hole and my soles were on a hard surface again. I reached a clear path with one jump and from there ran to my house. Its gloomy facade didn't look threatening now. The house was my line of defense from the shadows that flapped their wings and the creatures that were hidden under the snow. I tripped over the doorstep and smashed into the door. In all my hurry, I still managed to notice the claw marks, as if a dog was striking the wood with its paws, demanding to be let in so it could escape the cold. I hadn't noticed these marks when I was leaving. The heartbeat in my ear was so much louder than my surroundings. I couldn't hear whether someone was following me or not. What if they were already in my yard and Mom had locked the door? Drowning in fear, I pulled on the doorknob and obediently gave away. I rolled into the hallway and shut the door behind me. Porch planks creaked as my pursuers ascended the stairs. My fingers slipped off the lock and I couldn't click it into place. I gritted my teeth and pulled hard on the iron knob, whipping it between the boards. I stared blankly at the door. Someone was standing on the other side of the pitiful, flimsy barrier that was probably less useful than blankets. Wheezing breath reached into the house and crashed at me in waves. It smelled of pine and sweat. Mom peeked out of the kitchen and chastised me with the same frigid voice she always used when talking to Dad. What exactly didn't you understand when I told you to never slam the door?
Я случайно.
I didn't mean to. I snuck a glance at the door. The smell was gone, and the breath was too. If there was someone in the first place, of course. Here, mere 5 meters away from my mom. My fear was slowly weakening, melting like snow in spring, and with it, the last bit of strength I had left my body too. My legs gave away. I propped myself up against the wall so I wouldn't fall over. Mom's expression had changed immediately. The cold mask of strictness and detachment was gone. Mom looked the same as before all those quarrels. She finally saw my condition. My wet pants plastered with snow.
Ты где был? Я тебе что говорила, а? Чтобы ты дома сидел.
Where have you been? What did I tell you, huh? I told you to stay home.
Я и для тебя пустое место.
Am I nothing to you too? Aw, I got afraid she would cry. I reached out to her like I was very little and wanted her to cuddle me. But Mom regained her composure fast and put on her usual face. Her eyes shined like steel. Her voice rang out.
У отца сигареты пропали.
Your dad can't find his cigarettes.
Признавайся, ты их стащил? Курить бегаешь?
Be honest, did you snatch them? Were you smoking in secret?
Там За мной кто-то гнался. Я думал, меня...
There was someone chasing me. I thought... I started as soon as I started explaining myself. Tears welled up in my eyes. Mom leaned toward me and sniffed my clothes like a beast, searching for the smell of tobacco. Then she squinted her eyes in suspicion and looked into the front yard. Her expression changed in an instant and she covered her mouth with her hand.
Гляди, вон же они. Прямо у забора.
Look, over there, at the fence. My heart started thumping as if I became a prey once again, and my pursuers were following me in the field. I could swear that I've heard something scratch at the door, just like in my nightmare. Mom beckoned me with her finger, and I gathered all my remaining bravery to look into the kitchen window, facing my fear. I could barely discern some hairy silhouettes swimming in snow through the icy winter patterns on the glass. Dogs! Just a small pack of strays, with no name and an owner, barely reminding me of the hungry monsters that live on the edge of the forest.
Божечки, ты их испугался? Да они сами тебя перепугаются, Антон.
Oh boy, were you scared of them? I think they'd rather be scared of you, Anton.
Они гнались за мной, словно за зайцем.
They were chasing me, like a bunny.
А вдруг они бешеные?
And what if the rabbit? The smile had slowly disappeared from Mom's face. Now she looked at the dogs as if it was her first time seeing them.
Что если они нападут на Олю?
What if they attack Olya?
Мам,
Mom?
Вот бы твой отец их всех перестрелял.
I wish your dad could just shoot them all. Oh my god, that's so vicious.
мама, они живые.
Mom, look, they're alive.
А что?
Huh? What?
Ты уж определись, они тебе друзья или враги?
Are they your friend or foe after all? Make up your mind.
Не маленький ведь уже.
You're not a little kid anymore. Mom sighed in annoyance. I felt so bitter that I bit my lower lip and fixed my gaze on the cobweb, ridden corner just to keep myself from crying. Well, some detective I am. In reality, I wasn't risking my life among monsters, but rather my pants among a pack of stupid strays. And for what? What use do I have for this? Mitten. Of course! A dark and sticky mitten that belonged to the last boy made a squishy sound in my hand. Seems like I was clutching it the whole time. That's my trump card as a detective. I hurried to present this clue to my mom.
Мам, смотри, это Вовина варежка.
Mom, look, this is Vova's mitten.
Ну того, про которого утром милиция спрашивала.
That boy the police were asking about in the morning.
Она вся в крови, на дереве висела. Вон там, могу показать.
It's drenched in blood. I found it hanging on the tree. I can show where.
Давай в милицию скорее позвоним, как нас участковый просил.
Let's call the police right away, like the officer had told us to.
Мам, гляди.
Mom, look.
Фу!
Ew. A shadow of doubt slowly crept onto my mom's contorted face, as if she was trying to remember something distant, like someone tries to remember their dream, but their images slip away.
А ну-ка прекрати сейчас же.
Stop it this moment.
Оля тебя услышит, с ума сойдет.
Oya will go insane if she hears you.
Она и так не спит. На все подряд жалуется.
She already has trouble sleeping and whines all the time.
Еще и ты со своими шуточками.
And you joke around like this? At that moment, I realized the mitten was actually wet from snow. There was no blood whatsoever. I wanted to sink through the floor from embarrassment.
Иди сюда, паникер.
Come here, my boy, you cried wolf.
Да не стой столбом. Вот, таблетку на. Быстро пей.
Oh, don't just stand there. Come take your pills. A golden-colored pill, reminiscent of a dead wasp, fell into my palm.
Я уже пил сегодня, за завтраком.
I already took one during breakfast.
Попререкайся мне еще.
Don't talk over me.
Сказала дома сидеть, нет же.
I told you to stay home and you...
Был бы отец, выпорол.
Dad would have given you a good whooping for that.
Сейчас же выпей, а то ночью не уснешь. Тебе ведь в школу завтра.
Come on, take it, or you won't be able to sleep at night, and you have school tomorrow. So I had to swallow the bitter medication, drinking it down with similarly awful water that gave off a taste of chlorine. Maybe it wasn't Vova's mitten. Maybe it wasn't a mitten at all. Just like the forest monsters, and Olya's owl. Am I going mad? What's happening to me? Either the pill had an immediate effect, or my overexerted brain didn't let fear inside anymore. Serenity washed over me, bringing Yanni indifference along with it. I wonder what kind of pill she gave him. It's kind of suspicious, don't you think?
Антон, выпил? Можешь, если захочешь.
Anton, you done? See, you can do it when you try.
Раздевайся. Уснул, что ли?
Take off your coat. Are you asleep?
Нет, мам, просто задумался.
No, Mom, I was just thinking.
Интересно, о чем же?
What about, I wonder?
Так, глупости всякие.
It's just something silly. Mom scrutinized me with suspicious eyes, as if she wasn't sure she was looking at her own son and not some doppelganger that came from the forest.
Точно все нормально?
Is everything alright?
У тебя такое лицо было, когда милиционер про окно спросил.
You had the exact same expression when the policeman asked you about the window.
Все нормально, мам.
I'm alright, Mom. She heaved a deep sigh.
Хорошо.
Fine. It seemed like the house had changed. The sofa's fabric had become discolored. Fingerprints appeared on the bathroom tiles. The light bulbs also felt different, dimmer and yellower. Even the saliva inside my mouth had a different taste. A melody from Aladdin could be heard from the upper floor. Olia was rewatching her favorite Little Mermaid episodes and switched to other tapes. I slowly changed to my home clothes, stopped before the sink and studied my reflection in the mirror, like I was trying to solve one of those spot the difference puzzles. Then I went upstairs. Jafar's and Iago's voices died down. I walked past Olia's bedroom and slipped into my own. One of the drawers was empty. I hid the mitten there. This simple action drained the last bit of strength from me. So tiring. I sat on the bed. And only then I noticed there was someone behind the curtains. My tired hand had dropped in the sheets. I didn't even notice that. Whether it was due to medication I took or the stress I underwent, the room began to contort, as if the wind was blowing the walls out like a pair of sails. The corners of the room bent and undulated. The only stable thing in the whole room was the figure between the windowsill and the curtains. A flimsy piece of cloth was stuck to my hidden visitor. It reminded me of my burial sheets.
Оля,
Oh yeah? Who else could be standing there? I stood up and licked my dried lips.
Оля, очень смешно.
Yeah, oh yeah, it's so funny. The silhouette was unmoving. It was enveloped softly by the curtains, as if there was a thick layer of darkness there, not a human being. I reached toward the curtains. Ba-dum, ba-dum, beat my heart, controlled by medication. The wind sang in the field with a chorus of voices. For a second, I wanted to return to the bed, just lie down and watch the person behind the curtain, knowing full well they were looking back at me. They're looking back without blinking, waiting for me to fall asleep. Plastic rings rustled against the holder when I pulled up the curtains.
Попался!
Gotcha!
Да я сразу понял, что это ты.
I knew it was you from the beginning. A blindingly bright halo lit up above Olia's head with the setting sun as the background. My sister was shining. When she was just a baby, Dad always used to say she was shining with happiness. I always retorted, but Dad, she's not some flashlight. But I brought up her the window one day and sunlight poured on her smiling face. I felt like I was holding a light, woven child.
А я все видела.
I saw everything.
Да ну,
Oh, really?
что ты спрятал?
What did you hide? She was just like my mom when she was little, before she put on her sad mask of tiredness and switched to her commanding tone of voice.
Ничего, просто...
It's nothing, it's just... Olia ran up to the table, her eyes wound round and asked,
Ты что-то украл и теперь прячешь?
You stole something and hid it there?
Ты вор?
Are you a thief?
Что? Глупая.
What? Don't be stupid.
Ничего я не крал.
I didn't steal anything. A clear image came into mind, that mitten, hanging from a tree branch. What if I did steal after all? From the forest, from the tilted figure, standing behind the black trees. Olia could be selfish and stubborn when she wanted.
Покажи тогда.
Then show me.
Поклянись, что никому не скажешь. Тогда покажу.
Swear that you won't tell anyone, and then I'll show you. Olia wore a flying smile.
Клянусь маминым сердцем.
I swear on Mom's heart. An oath she heard in one of the movies above about the pioneers we've watched.
Не говори так.
Don't say things like that. Olia nodded and made a gesture of her hand, locking her mouth with an imaginary key. She was filled with curiosity that was splashing in her giant eyes. I opened the drawer and Olia leaned in, holding her breath. It looked like there was not just a simple bin, but some sort of exotic critter.
Это чья-то варежка?
Is this someone's mitten? She said that as if she couldn't understand what she saw.
Один мальчик потерял. И сам потерялся.
A certain boy lost it, and got himself lost.
Теперь понимаешь, как опасно гулять в лесу, особенно детям?
Now do you understand how dangerous it is for kids to wander to the forest at night?
Ему, наверное, там очень холодно.
It must be really cold out there.
Его найдут?
Will they find him?
Обязательно.
They will.
Участковый по домам ходит, всем фотографию его показывает.
The police are going house to house showing his photo to everybody. Olia traversed the room with care and pressed her tiny palms against the window.
А почему он по домам ходит, а не по лесу?
Or why are they going to the houses and not the forest?
Боится?
Are they scared? The question caught me off guard.
Милиционеры ничего не боятся.
The police aren't scared of anything.
И лес они прочесали.
They've already scouted the forest. Yeah, right, flashed in my clouded mind. Did they really check every nook and cranny where darkness, cold, and whispers of icy branches dwell? If that's the case, how did they miss the mitten? Or did it appear later? For me. I changed the topic, as if trying to get Olya as far away as possible from the forest thicket.
Если я сам найду пропавшего мальчика, нам, может, награду дадут.
Or we may get a reward if I go and find the missing boy myself.
Кучу всякого, как в поле чудес.
A lot of stuff, like in the Wheel of Fortune.
Клёво же.
Sounds cool, right? Olya wasn't listening to me. She was piercing the forest with incredibly adult eyes, uncharacteristic for her.
А что, если эта сова его утащила?
What if the owl got to him?
Ерунда.
Nonsense.
Не может сова поднять человека.
An owl won't be able to lift a human.
Но вот что...
But you know what? I was speaking my words with utmost care. I forced them out of my overexerted brain.
Ты в лес не суйся. Мне кажется, он какой-то...
Stay away from the forest. I think it's...
Как бы сказать...
How should I put it?
Проклятый, что ли?
It's cursed or something.
Как в сказке?
Just like in the fairy tale?
Нет, скорее, как на той страшной кассете, что родители прячут.
No, more like in that spooky tape our parents hide from us. Olya shivered and stole a glance at the window.
Я видела, как ты убегал.
I saw you running away.
За тобой кто-то гнался?
Someone was chasing you?
Нет, просто, чтобы мама не волновалась, спешил домой.
No, it's just... I was hurrying back home so mom wouldn't be worried. As I looked at my sister, my heart was tearing apart. She was so fragile. It was so easy to stifle her light. A gust of wind and her small fire would be gone.
Хорошо тебе.
You're lucky.
Меня вот мама не пускает даже на крыльцо.
Mom won't even let me go outside.
Как принцесса в башне сижу. Никуда не могу выйти.
I'm like a princess in a tower. Can't go anywhere.
Так и умру тут от скуки.
I'll die from boredom here.
Не придумывай.
You're wrong.
От скуки еще никто не умирал.
No one has ever died from boredom.
У тебя же есть я и мультики, а мама с папой скоро помирятся.
And you have me and your cartoons, and mom and dad will be good to each other soon.
Знаешь, что бы я загадала на следующий день рождения?
You know what I could wish for my next birthday?
Чтобы родители тоже в детей превратились. И мы бы все вместе играли, как раньше.
I wish for mom and dad to turn into children so we could go and play together like we used to.
Ага. А если бы они стали размером с жука, то мы бы их в спичечный коробок посадили.
Yeah, if you could make them as small bugs, we could place them into a little box. Olga giggled and tugged at my sleeve.
Тоша, пойдем Аладдина смотреть.
Tosha, let's go watch Aladdin. Fatigue wandered over my desire to be with my little sister. I was washed over by some sort of heinous apathy.
Вымотался я. Что-то не хочется.
I'm too tired. I don't want to.
Ну пойдем.
Come on.
Мне скучно одной, а мама занята все время.
It's so boring and alone, and mom is always busy.
Можно выбрать другой мультик, который ты еще не видел.
We can pick a cartoon you haven't seen before.
Да я все наши кассеты наизусть знаю.
I know all of our tapes by heart at this point.
А вот и не все. Ты Питера Пэна не видел.
Not all of them. You haven't watched Peter Pan.
Помнишь, ты уснул на середине?
Remember how you fell asleep in the middle of it?
А там потом такое. Ну пойдем.
And so much happens after that. Let's go. Let's go.
Давай попозже.
Maybe a bit later.
Рассказать тебе, чем все закончилось?
Should I tell you how it ends?
Утром расскажешь.
Let's leave that for tomorrow.
Утром не захочу.
I won't tell you tomorrow.
Придумала. А давай в прятки.
I know. Let's play hide and seek.
Нет, Оль.
No, Olya.
Тогда нарисуй мне динозавра.
Then draw me a dino.
Оля, блин.
Olya, please.
Нарисуй.
Draw it. Draw it.
Да оставь ты меня в покое.
Leave me alone already. I blurted it out without thinking, and then I was immediately taken aback. I've never screamed at my little sister like that. Olya stared at me in shock. Her lips started trembling, a precursor to tears. My chest was seething with disgust and embarrassment. What's happening to me? I hurried to prevent Olya from crying.
Ладно, уболтала. Давай смотреть мультики. Только недолго.
Alright, you win. Let's go watch cartoons for a bit.
Уже не хочу.
I don't wanna. I came up to her, put my hand on her soft head.
Пойдем.
Let's go.
Питера Пэна посмотрим.
Let's go watch Peter Pan.
Ага, ты опять уснешь.
Boo, you'll fall asleep again. I smiled and lifted her chin. Her eyes were wet and felt bottomless.
Не усну, обещаю.
I promise I won't.
А потом я тебе целого трицератопса нарисую.
And I'll draw you a full And I'll draw you a full triceratops later.
Ура!
Hooray! Trispirate Pops!
Ну, почти.
Well, close enough. Olya rubbed her eyes with a sleeve of her pajamas and a shining smile returned to her face.
Давай ты пока кассету перемотаешь, а я у мамы попрошу сгущенки с хлебом.
I'll go ask Mom for condensed milk and bread and you rewind the tape.
Только утром свежий привезли, как ты любишь.
The bread is fresh, just how you like it.
Неси, только аккуратнее, а то разольешь.
Alright, just be careful not to spill the milk.
Опять ругаться будут.
Oh, you'll yell at it again.
Спорим, не разолью.
Wanna bet I won't spill it?
Кассета где-то в тумбочке. Поищи пока.
The tape is somewhere in the nightstand. Look for it. Olya disappeared into the doorway and I dragged my feet into the neighboring room. On the nightstand. That's the nightstand, isn't it? 'Cause I can't... What was that sound? Okay. The old photon TV was gathering dust in the corner. And that was left was clicking the button on the front panel. The tube warmed up and familiar white noise started dancing on the black screen. I almost reached out to turn on the VCR when the noise calmed down and the blurry image appeared for a moment. It was a dark taiga forest, just like the one outside my window. The picture split the screen in half. Something creepy resembling human speech was coming out of the speaker. Just a few minutes later, the scenery was again overshadowed by noise. Did you catch some road signal? Local TV station only really showed Soviet cartoons, and that was a pretty rare. And only just recently I used to always watch Robotech before school. It was so awesome. Maybe I should tinker with the antenna. What if I catch this channel again? On the other hand, Olya had asked me to find the tape. It wouldn't be nice to disappoint her. But in my sleepy state, I didn't have the strength to do all of it. Search. I sifted through the sleeves full of dolls and blue hippos from Kinder Surprise. I found the tape I needed thanks to its shabby spine. I got the black rectangle from its box. The tape inside it rustled while rewinding to the beginning. This rustle was lulling me to sleep. Drowsiness attacked me while I was squatting before the TV. Images whirled in my head. Me and Olya flying over the forest, tumbling in the soft clouds. My little sister is laughing, but her smile becomes more and more forced with every passing second. I noticed that the sounds underneath us apart, bearing the bristly pine tops. Swampy darkness slurped among the trees. The wings are no longer able to hold us and Olya.
Ты не смотришь без меня?
You haven't started without me, have you? My sister brought the tray with unevenly cut bread and a whole can of condensed milk. I rubbed my eyes.
Нет, садись.
No, come sit.
Мама с папой опять ругаются.
Mom and Dad are arguing again.
У них сейчас период такой.
They're going through rough times.
Глупый какой-то период.
Rough times are lame. On the screen, Wendy was hiding Peter Pan's shadow into the dresser. Olya was entertained by the cartoonish dog Nana.
Может, и нам родители собачку купят?
Maybe Mom and Dad will buy us a dog too?
Ага, как же.
Yeah, right.
В Небыляндии у меня будет своя собственная собака. И кошка. И попугайчик.
I'll have my own dog in the Neverland, and a cat, and a parrot. Olya smeared a slice of bread with a thick layer of condensed milk and handed it to me.
А у тебя все молочные зубы выпали?
Have you lost all of your baby teeth?
Конечно.
Obviously. Olya frowned, deep in thought.
У Питера Пэна зубы молочные.
Peter Pan has baby teeth.
Вдруг со взрослыми зубами тебя не пустят в его страну?
What if they won't let you go to this land with adult teeth?
Мы что-нибудь обязательно придумаем.
We'll think of something.
Попросим папу исправить тебе возраст в паспорте.
We'll ask Dad to alter your age in the passport.
С чего это папа будет документы подделывать?
And why would Dad forge documents? Olya took a bite from the sandwich and started talking with her mouth full.
Будет. Мама говорила, что он так делал. А я подслушала.
God, the eating smacking in my ears. I heard my mom did that before.
Смотри, уши вырастут, как у Дамбо.
You'll go ears as big as Dumbo's. Olya got worried and touched her ear. I smiled to myself. My little sister was silent now. She just devoured bread, watched the adventures of Peter Pan, Tinkerbell, and James Hook, as if she got sucked into the fairy tale Neverland. To be honest, I always also imagined myself there, in a land where one never ages, where no one argues over little things, where no one listens to fights and the sound of broken plates at night. I felt like I was dreaming with my eyes still open. Then my sister's scream pulled me back to reality.
Тоша, скорее, штору задерни!
Tosha, shut the curtains fast!
Зачем?
Why?
Никто же на тебя не смотрит.
No one's watching you.
Уже темно, а когда темнеет, прилетает сова.
It's dark, and when it's dark, the owl comes.
Я боюсь.
I'm scared. I got out of bed, fighting my drowsiness, and closed the curtains. Close. I did my best not to look outside toward the treetops, toward the taiga forest, while seemingly drew closer and closer. Of course, it was just a visual effect from my shadows of branches scraping the snow.
Тоша, мама думает, что я напридумывала про сову.
Tosha, Mom thinks I made the owl up.
И папа считает, что раз я маленькая, это значит врушка.
And Dad, too, thinks I'm a liar since I'm small.
А сова есть.
But the owl exists.
Вот честная-пречестная, есть она.
Honestly, it does.
Ты же мне веришь,
You do believe me, right?
что она там и каждую ночь прилетает и...
That it comes every night and... I swiftly grabbed Olia's hand and looked in her in the eyes. I was trying to transfer at least some of my courage and determination, but did I really have those qualities?
Я тебе верю, слышишь?
Yes, I believe you, alright?
Ты только родителям больше не рассказывай про сову.
Just don't nag our parents about it anymore.
У них и так хлопот по горло, они только рассердятся.
They're already dealing with a lot, so they'll just get mad at you.
Ты мне говори, если что случится.
Come and tell me if anything
И
happens.
в окно не смотри.
And don't look out the window.
Но она хочет, чтобы я смотрела.
But it wants me to look.
Перехочет.
Doesn't matter.
Притворись, что ее нет и не было никогда, что она выдумка, как родители говорят.
Act like it doesn't exist and never existed, like it's made up, just like Mom and Dad say.
Ей ждать надоест, она улетит.
It'll get tired of waiting and fly away. We followed Peter Pan's adventures as if nothing had happened, as if the forest didn't kidnap kids, as if our parents weren't tearing each other apart bit by bit. Captain Hook was running away from a crocodile, and Captain Pan was headed to London on a gilded sailboat. By some miracle, I lasted longer than my little sister. Olia's eyelids had dropped. She started snorting lightly, resting her chin on the side of the bed. I stood up and left Olia's room. I was looking out the window, studying the field, when Mom peeked into my room.
Довольно баловства.
Enough playing around.
Завтра первый день в школе.
It's your first day at school tomorrow.
Ложись, тебе надо выспаться.
Go to bed. You should sleep properly.
Не хочешь же ты, чтобы тебя все дразнили Соней?
You don't want to be teased for being sleepy, right? Adults think everything is so simple. As if sound asleep would assure my classmates would like me, I covered myself with a blanket up to my neck and listened to the house humming, to something invisible rustling in the corners. My inner voice had a question for me. Do I want to hear that mysterious flute again? Yes or no? Maybe it's just a part of growing up when I can't fully understand my own desires. The forest wailed behind the barrier that was my walls. Some ethereal entity wandered around the fields. Branches shook as if calling for me. The wind howled on and on in the night. My thoughts were like annoying flies that entered my head before becoming weak and tangled. I didn't notice how I fell into slumber. It has come, after all, the day I feared the most. The first day of a new school term. Whew, and that concludes episode 1. I definitely really like what's going on right now, and I love the atmosphere to it. Like the black and white, like typically I don't like black and white stuff, but like it definitely adds to the like ominous atmosphere that this game has. But enough blabbling. This concludes our Freaky Friday, and I hope to see y'all in the next one. Peace.